Hey everybody, it's your girl Tamika J, and welcome to National Sounds of Gospel Radio. That's right, it's our radio show, and yes, I am so excited of who we have in the studio today. You guys, she is like no other, and I'm so excited to have her here. This has been a long time coming, so it's like today is the day we're getting it in. We're talking about the goodness of God, and not only are we talking about the goodness of God, but she is going to not only talk about how God has moved in her journey, but she's going to talk about the process and everything. She has a book, y'all. It's called Help, I'm Broken. And this book is not only just a book for you to read, but it's going to be a book that will help you to answer certain questions that you need to answer. So I'm excited to have her here in the studio, and I'm getting ready to bring her on. She's getting ready to talk to y'all. None other than book author, preacher, singer, woman of God. Yeah, I said all those things. She's gonna get me. But I'm gonna bring her on right now. Everybody, welcome Dafni Norman.
Hey everybody, thank you, Tamika. Thank you for allowing me to come. Seriously, we've been trying to do this, and it just kind of seemed like it's just one thing
One
after
thing
another.
after another.
But God knows, He knows the timing of everything how it needs to go. So I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you, y'all. I'm serious, y'all. She's so y'all need to see her. She all dressed up, like for real, for real. But there's some things that's happening in the spiritual world right now. So we gonna get this in. But I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so excited to not only talk about your book, but also to talk about the journey. And to me, journeys are very important, especially when you're on a journey with God and you're walking with God. And I know, just like what you said earlier, we don't all start off like that. And literally, we don't all start off like that at all. There is a process, there's experiences that we each have to go through. So let's go ahead and let's talk about your journey, where it all began with you.
So I was funny because I was talking to my sister earlier, and we were just talking about different things of how we grew up, and how sometimes you think your life is going to go in one direction, but your choices is what causes things to change.
Right.
And so sometimes we make choices because we have to. Sometimes we make choices because we want to.
Right.
And those choices take us in either direction. It can take you in the right direction, or it can take you in the wrong direction. And I can honestly say I've had my journey in life has taken me down both paths, but I ended up right at the place where I needed to be. And so coming up, I have a huge family. Like seriously, I got a really big family. Met being again 5 brothers, 2 sisters, but I got like 26 nieces and nephews.
Wow.
And that's and counting. You know what I'm saying? Like and counting.
And counting. They still coming, y'all.
And so that don't even include my host of cousins, and so our family on both sides is big. And so you get a chance to experience a lot of different things, coming up and being in that type of environment. And you start out, we roller skate. So that's my second love is roller
skate. That's mine too.
That's my second love.
She shouldn't have said that, y'all.
So, I'm good for a girl.
We don't have to, okay. Yeah. We don't have to get together and go.
So you start out doing the things as a kid that kids do.
Right.
And then you get introduced to life, you know. And so life took me in a totally different direction than what was anticipated. I can say, when you grow up, you see things. So drugs and alcohol and the neighborhood that I lived in it wasn't the best. The schools that I went to, they weren't the best. I didn't graduate college, but I have a great career. So it's just one of those things where, and sometimes people ask me, do you regret it? Absolutely not. I don't regret anything that I've experienced because all of that made me who I am.
That's right.
I made some very bad choices, gang banging, all these type of things, and my brothers was protected, so and his friends was protected, and so could I hustle? Absolutely, I could have. Well, they ain't play that, they didn't let me, but you know, it wasn't nothing for me to do it.
Right.
You know, so I was exposed to a lot of things and sex and all these things at a young age. And so I never in my life did I imagine I would be here.
Come on now.
As a preacher.
Come on now.
Let's talk about it, because I went to a Methodist church, and it was like, it's like my Methodist church was like Catholic than us. So,
Okay.
so it wasn't with that step apart. Like they took my tambourine because it was too loud and shit. So because my daddy's family is holiness, you know.
Right.
So I went to the church and got excited about them playing the tambourine.
Okay, come on now.
I myself gonna take it back to my church, and they took it. You know, so I didn't grow up in church. I didn't grow up in church. After a while, I stopped going at a young age. So God wasn't on my radar. But He allowed somebody to come into my life and reintroduce me to who He was. And as a result, it protected me from going down a very dark path. And was we still, you know, doing whatever we do? Absolutely, we were. But this pastor, at the time, he wasn't even a pastor, as a matter of fact. He was just Cardell. And we watched his life change. And as his life changed, we changed our lives. I pretty much didn't get really saved until like 18 or 19 years old. And started actually trying to live for God at that age. Right. And so it was like after that, my life took a turn. It'll be 25 years in ministry for me this year. Come on. No, 20 years. Come on. So I started preaching in 2003. Nice. And so it's now at this point where my life is, you know, going in the direction. So it's been a hard journey. Seen a lot of death. Seen a lot of things, you know, and things that could have traumatized me for the rest of my days. But I'm here, you know, and it is literally by the grace of God. Literally. Come on, you gotta tell them. So I for those out there who feel like, you know, because I don't just advocate for people who are in church, right? Because Jesus came to save the lost.
Would you please tell them it's not about the church building and who's on the inside of the church. It's about who's on the outside of the church. You can't save somebody that's already been saved.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the ones that don't know or the ones that do know but have lost their way.
Right.
So the hospital, technically, we are the church.
Absolutely.
It's not about the four walls. So I'm so glad you said that. That in the name of Jesus, that's just,
I'm telling
that
you,
part right there.
We tend to gravitate to where we're comfortable,
right,
and what we're most familiar with. But there's a whole world of people out there that don't know God, and there's a whole lot of hurt people, a whole lot of broken people. How do I know? Because we were one of them, and so somebody had to go out there and come get me. So now it's my turn to go out there and get somebody else.
Exactly.
And so why not? I don't, you know, and so people have this, what do you call it? This perception of how, you know, to draw people in. But scripture is true. It's love and kindness have I drawn you. So come on. I don't care because you drink. I don't care because you smoke. I don't care because you're gay. I don't care because you're straight. I don't care what you are.
That's it.
Because you don't come in already clean.
That's right.
And so that's the reason why I said what I said earlier, because it's my goal to save the world or to heal the world one heart at a time. Because you got to get them by the heart first.
That's right.
And then you can deal with everybody else, everything else. Exactly. And it's not my responsibility to clean nobody up. It's God's.
Exactly.
So I really say that because it was a broken me that was drawn in by love. It wasn't a broken me that was drawn in because it told me how to dress.
Come on.
No, it was not a broken me that was drawn in and got criticized. No, it's that stuff that pushes people away. And so, and not to mention when you do that, you're triggering those broken places.
Exactly.
You're triggering those places that people are, so you're hurting them all over again.
Yeah, you're adding to it.
And so it's ineffective at that point. And so I just think the journey that we take, we have to value the things that we've learned along the way, because that's the tool.
That's it.
That's the tool that you will use to grab another Dafni.
That's it.
Because it's another one of me out there.
Come on.
Because I talk to them all the time.
Come on now.
It's another Tamika out there.
There is.
Because there are some people I can't ever reach, but you can.
Mm.
And so I think that's the importance of the journey, to figure out what part of me did I grow and get free from, that I can go reach somebody else who don't know how to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to my family members all the time, and I watch different things. And so when I see familiar struggles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I try to jump in front of ahead of it to say, hey, don't do that, because this is what it got me.
Right.
And so I don't want to see nobody experience the stuff that I did.
Come on.
Pain ain't fun.
Come on now.
You know, nobody wants to voluntarily be in pain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna volunteer to be in pain.
Right. And so why would I allow you to experience something? If I can tell you, no, you tie your shoe like that, it's gonna get in a knot.
Right.
You know. So if I already know that, then let me use my own experience, because I done tied my shoe in a knot plenty of times to tell you, don't tie your shoe like that.
You know, there's this saying, and because I have a 25-year-old, about to be 26, and I know there's many of us out here that have children that are adults, and when we see them go through certain things, you know, and we try to talk to them and tell them, there's this old saying, you know, I've been your age, I've been there, I may have gone through that, like. You don't want to go through, you don't want to go through. I've been your age. You haven't been mine yet. At your age, I may have experienced this. I may have gone through this. You don't want it. And that's exactly what's happening now. There's a saying, and I've seen it so many times where people pay it forward. If you go into the gas station and, you may pay for that person, or that person may pay for your food or your groceries. And so then you're like, okay, well, they did it for me. Now let me do it for them. It's the same way in a journey. When you've gone through something, God will allow you to experience certain things and go through certain things. And when he brings you out, he wants you to reach those ones that are actually going through the things that you've gone through. Right. That's how you become a witness.
You know where we fail, though?
Tell them.
It's because people hide their journey. Nobody's honest. Nobody's honest about what they've been through. Everybody's either ashamed, or they're prideful, or they don't care enough, or maybe they're scared. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why but we're failing at helping the next person because of those reasons.
Right.
And so the last maybe year or two, God has been dealing with me about self-evaluation.
Okay.
And so I do it regularly to make sure that I'm in right standing, number one. But number two, so that I won't put myself in a position that I'm disregarding how people feel because of how I'm responding or how I'm acting. And to say, hey, Daphne, you didn't do that right. And then I can tell somebody, no, I didn't do that right. And so we're messing up because we're not exposing those parts of us that can help people.
Right.
We're not being honest to say, somebody, how did you get through such and such and such? And we make up this grand blanket of a story and not tell them the truth of what, what I'm saying? And so I learned, even with the things that I've been through, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, which was tell somebody, expose me.
Being transparent.
Yeah. And so, but I found out the more I did it, the easier it became. And then, but I want to say this to those who are listening, those who are watching. Somebody needs your story. So if you have something that is valuable that you can give to somebody to help get them free, share it, write it, tell it, whatever you got to do to get that out. Somebody's waiting on Tamika. They see Daphne, but they're not waiting on her.
Come on.
They waiting on Tamika. They waiting on your story, because I can't relate. I've never been on drugs. I'm not an alcohol drinker. I saw what it did to my family. So, I'm good on that.
Right.
And it was that stuff that I can say, I can't tell you about that, but I know somebody who can.
Okay.
And so we're supposed to be helpers one to another.
Right.
Bible says, if your brother be overtaken in fault, you which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself. So we have to be helpers to each other. And so we're not sharing, we're not being vulnerable, or we're trying to, we're so focused on everything else that we're leaving the broken out here broken.
Come on now. And God just dropped this in my spirit. We are authors without the actual writing. Each and every one of us have a story.
Absolutely.
They say history. Well, I have my story, which is her story. He may have his story, which is his story. But we each have a story that is tied to a link of people. Because we're all tied together. But we each have a story, and we're all authors without having to write a book, because the story is on the inside. And it's all about being transparent.
And we say that, oh, you may be the only Bible somebody know. True story. But you may be the only delivered drug addict somebody know. You might be the only, person who was alcoholic that somebody know. It's more to it. It's more to it out here, because we can throw scriptures at people all day long, but if they ain't never read a Bible, they ain't gonna gravitate to it.
That's it, and that's the other thing. You can go through so much and not even have a relationship, or know how to even get a relationship with the Lord, because it's not about going to church. It's not about stepping into that church house. You can step into that church house each and every Sunday. You can go to YPWW. You can go to Sunday school, and you can still walk out the same way you walked in. So, but there's no relationship. So when we're talking about help, I'm broken in this journey. And then there's the ones that not only are broken, but they also don't have a relationship. Tell them about the process.
I think it's just a matter, it goes back to what we talked about earlier, just being honest. So one of the things that I share with people, because you mentioned the hospital earlier.
Yes.
One of the things I tell people, that you cannot be healed if you never admit that there's a problem.
Come on.
You can't.
That's very true.
You don't go to the hospital and don't tell the doctor what's wrong.
You can't.
So first, the first part of, even without a relationship with God, and you're broken, the first part, the first issue, or the first step to your healing journey is acknowledging that you're broken.
Come on.
Let's be honest and say, I'm broken. And sometimes people won't.
They won't admit it. They won't admit it.
And so I talk about the reason why I accepted certain things that landed me in a broken place, right? So one of those things is love. And so I accepted abuse and things like that, because that's what I identified as love. And so sometimes people don't even realize where they are, because that's all they know.
Right.
So sometimes it takes you to be able to accept the fact that somebody's saying, no, that's not how that goes.
Come on.
So even without relationship, there's things that we have to accept about ourselves, to just be honest enough to say that we need the help. And then you introduce relationship.
Come on.
So because I can't tell somebody that don't have a relationship with God that they understand,
right?
Like, because they can believe me, but they may not understand as much, because they don't have a relationship.
Right.
But I can teach them how to get one.
There you go.
I can teach you how to get one, but we throw spiritual things at people who not spiritual,
right?
And they still go home
and they're still lost, right? Yeah, because they don't
because you didn't deal with the natural part of them.
Come on now.
And so while relationship with God is what I push, because that's what I was taught. how to develop my own personal relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
But at first, he had to deal with my mouth because it was terrible. Okay.
Come on
He
now.
had to deal with that thug in me that was ready to fight everybody.
Mm.
He had to teach me, hey, you're a lady. You don't have to act like that.
Yeah.
And he had to say to capture me. And then we're going to talk about, you know what I'm saying? Because I have to address the problem or the things that I see. You hungry?
Mm-hmm.
You want something to eat first? Because I don't care about you talking about the law. I'm hungry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so while we want to, I'm here for all of the things that we do, but I think sometimes we try to drag people into relationship before we deal with where they are.
And that's the part right there is where you're supposed to meet them where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge, but meet them where they are. So let's talk about Help Unbroken. The journey. We've talked so much, and literally a lot of this is in the book. But I want Dafni, just tell them a little bit more about your book, about your journey, about the tears and the struggle.
So I think the most recent or the thing that really kind of sealed it for me to go ahead and write was after I came through my divorce. Very bad marriage. So just a smidge of exposure. So, we had these things that people, y'all are a power couple. We're not a power couple. So being in ministry, people know who you are.
Right.
There were 300 plus people at my wedding. Okay. We ran out of room at our reception because of and so to go away, get married, experience a very bad marriage in a short time, very bitter divorce, right? And then come back home and be embarrassed because of all of that. And so after writing this book, the chapters are centered around the honesty that I had to start becoming. It's centered around the steps that I took not to lose my mind. It's centered around feeling those emotions and how to deal with them. It's centered around traumatic experiences and identifying what. So why did that girl said, this is an example, that girl said, your shirt is pink, I don't like pink. Why did I clock out and ready to knock her out? What made me get to that point?
What triggered you?
Right. You stepped on my tennis shoe, I'm ready to kill you. Why? Somebody wore a particular cologne and I'm ready to go to jail. Why? So it helped me to identify triggers and helped me to understand that there was something wrong that made me respond that way.
Come on.
There was something that made me feel that way.
Yeah.
And so things that we have locked out of our minds because of the traumatic experience. So it's centered around going back to those places to understand why you can't hold a decent relationship. And so Help Unbroken deals with every area of your life that we close off and try to make it out of sight, out of mind. And so I talk about a chapter in my book called Functionally Broken. And that particular chapter is equated to a functioning addict. A person who has a problem but knows how to function just fine and never deals with the problem, even though it's killing them.
That's like a functioning alcoholic.
Absolutely. They never deal with the problem.
And don't even look like it.
But they can function just fine. You know why? Because they've practiced functioning with the thing that's killing them. So we're functionally broken. We're dying on the inside. We're mentally and emotionally dying. But we're going through life like everything is okay because we won't deal with the thing that's killing us. So I had to figure out why I was functionally walking around here but still emotionally eating. Walking around here still taking abuse from people because that's what I was dealing with in times past, but I was still functioning and preaching and doing all of this stuff through all of that. And so I'm functioning like it's good, but I'm losing it. And nobody knew it. Nobody knew it. And so it's centered around facing that stuff that people are tucking away. People are tucking it away.
Right.
And then what? So I'm just saying so that is the core reason is because I really want people to understand that you don't have to live broken.
Come on.
You don't, you do not have to live that way.
And that's important because a lot of people, they don't deal with it. Not only do they not deal with it, sometimes they die in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the ones that want the help and begin to get the help and begin to heal. And I think that's a good thing. And one thing I really like about your book is that it's not just talking about your journey, but it's also a self-help book. It helps you to recognize what's happening when you're asking them questions to make them, write out what's actually happening to begin to heal.
And I did that because I think the hardest thing was admitting it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you write out the answers to some of the questions that I'm asking, it forces you to have to face it.
Mm-hmm.
It forces you to have to face it, and it forces you to have to really acknowledge the place where you are.
Right.
And so there are questions in that ask, one of the things I ask is, what is it that broke you? What contributed to your brokenness?
Come on.
How did that make you feel?
Yeah.
What part did you play in that? Have you confronted?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Or why? So it's those things that you ask because it's important that you touch every place.
Right.
You can't skip steps in healing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to take, and then let me tell you, whoever is listening, healing is a process, and all of the time it is not fast.
That's true.
It is don't ever try to rush, because you'll skip over stuff that you didn't even know that needed to be addressed.
Come on.
I am at this point in my life considering myself to be very whole, but I still know that there are a lot of places that I'm still healing.
Right.
And so I don't want us to feel like that healing is just gonna be tomorrow.
Right.
It's not gonna happen overnight. Don't get it twisted, because God can do in me
and all things.
He can do absolutely everything, and I don't doubt that He can. But in case He chooses not to do it immediately,
okay,
please know that
He's doing it.
Yeah,
this may take some time, but He's doing it. Come on now. So, and where can we get the book? Where can people go out and purchase the book?
So there are two ways. You can go on Amazon and you can purchase it. You can look up my name, Dafni Norman, or you can look up the book, Help Unbroken. Mm-hmm. And you can go onto my website, www.danormanministries.com, and you can purchase the book on the website.
You guys heard it here first, and make sure that you go and get this book. If you are going through anything, if you're broken on the inside and you don't want to talk about it, get the book. If you have somebody that you can go and talk to, begin to go and talk to them. If you have a pastor that you can open up to them. But if you don't have anyone, get the book. Allow the book and allow Dafni to be able to help you through this. We want to thank you so much for being on the show. This is your home, so we know that you will be back. And we make sure you guys tune in. Listen, we got more shows coming up for you. And as I always say, let's get it. Let's go. Be blessed.